Thanks, guys, and thanks to everybody for being here today, and mostly thank you to the governor for being here today. How about a nice round of a hand to start? And also to Quasi for being here today, Sydney for being here today. They'll tell their story in a second, but I just want to start really quick, keep things rolling with asking Quasi Smith to come up here for a moment. And with that, as many of you know, we, as part of this today, as part of our Chicago roots, if you will, and as somebody who's lived here my whole life, the Greenwood Project is an amazing, amazing place that's really given a lot of people, and you'll hear from Sydney later, great opportunity in the financial markets. And so we're really proud to be a supporter of this. We think it's an amazing, amazing place to put our money. And so with that, Laura, if you would hand over the check. And so on behalf of IG and Tastytrade, we want to give a $600,000 check to the Greenwood Project. Anybody else feel like we're on a game show?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I am deeply honored to stand here today on behalf of Greenwood Project. Similar to Tastytrade, similar to deep dish pizza, similar to all the best things in the world, Greenwood Project is a homegrown Chicago-based organization. It's an organization that is focused and dedicated to propelling Black and Latino college students into high trajectory careers in financial services. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Tom, JJ, and the governor for being here today. To everyone at IG and Tastytrade, I want to say thank you for this generous donation. This donation will have a profound impact on the lives of our scholars, and it will allow us to continue the important work of continuing to foster a more inclusive and diverse financial services industry. At Greenwood Project, we believe in building aspirational capital. And we believe that every young person deserves the opportunities that enables them to reach their full potential. Through organizations like Tastytrade and the support that we receive, it allows us to continue this vital work, but more profoundly, it allows us to send an important message. That's a message of hope. That's a message that says that it's important to invest in the next generation of emerging leaders. By providing, thank you, I love the support. Thank you, thank you. By providing resources and opportunities, we're not only changing individuals' lives, we're impacting families, we're strengthening the industry, we're strengthening the economy, and we're strengthening the entire Chicago ecosystem. On behalf of all the Greenwood Project scholars, I really want to extend our deepest gratitude for this generous donation and the commitment that IG and Tastytrade is making today. Thank you so much. I now would like to introduce Sydney Taylor. Sydney was a 2019 Greenwood Project scholar, and thank you, Sydney.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney Taylor, and I'm a graduate of Howard University and a proud Greenwood Project alum. First and foremost, I'd love to extend my deepest gratitude to IG Tastytrade for their incredibly generous donation of $600,000 to the Greenwood Project. This is far This is far more than just a financial contribution to the Greenwood Project. This contribution represents an investment into young people like myself who aspire to careers within the financial services industry. As a Greenwood Project scholar, I had the opportunity to participate in many trainings, mentorship opportunities, and then I had access to a variety of different internship opportunities as well, which ultimately helped shape my overall educational and professional experience. I'm standing here today not only as a testament to Greenwood Project and their programs, but also as a testament to the power of investing in the youth and making a conscious effort to invest in diverse talent within the financial industry. Currently, I work as an associate at Goldman Sachs within their Asset and Wealth Management division right here in Chicago. Thank you. Thank you. So on behalf of all Greenwood Project scholars, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to IG Tastytrade for your unwavering support and commitment for our program and our scholars. There's no doubt in my mind that this investment will continue to impact the lives of many students and help them achieve their overall career and life goals. So thank you all again. And then now I'd like to hand it over to Tom for some further remarks.
Thanks, everyone. So I thought I'd just tell a quick couple stories. I'll make this very typical Tom fashion. First time, we're in the old studios back at Sagamon, and there was about, I don't know, 30 or 40 kids come in and that we had never seen before. Tony and I were sitting, we were doing our show, and there were all these kids looking at the two of us, and we felt like, okay, this is a little weird. So we bring all 40 kids into the studio. I don't know if you remember that, Tony, but I think for all 40 kids in the studio, we packed the entire studio with everybody, and it was kind of like everybody's first experience on air, digital air, and we asked a bunch of financial questions. Everybody seemed really into it. That was our first experience with Greenwood's project, and it was amazing. And I'm glad we've kept the relationship going ever since, because it's obviously turned into something really special. And this is a great, thing we were able to do this time. And then as far as JB is concerned, this was a very similar situation. The first time he was on Tasty, he was on it as an entrepreneur. I don't know if you remember that, but we were doing it at Bootstrapping in America, and it was an entrepreneur segment. And Tony and I were doing the segment, and we were talking to him as an entrepreneur. His story was amazing. It was fascinating. And so we couldn't wait to bring him back on the show. And a couple of years later, I think it was a year or two later, we brought him back on the show, and we had a discussion. And this time, we convinced him to run for governor. At least that's how Tony and I tell the story, okay? And the discussion went great, but in fairness, his group and everybody involved in Chicago politics and in state of Illinois politics has been incredibly supportive, and we have stayed very true, good faith-wise, to a local financial community, to business community, and hopefully we can continue to grow this company, into perpetuity. So I will now hand it back over to JJ, and then you can do the introductions. Thank you.
I don't know if you heard what Governor Pritzker's last victory speech, when he did thank Tom and Tony at the top of it for being responsible for it. But with all that, it is time to bring up the governor to say a few remarks. So, Governor Pritzker.
Thank you, JJ. Tom, the way I remember it, the three of us played rock, paper, scissors for who was going to run for governor, and I lost, just to be clear. So. Thank you. And I have to say I was on, I think, 3 times, and the third time was with Howard Tullman. Oh, that's right. Which meant that, oddly, not a word in edgewise on my part. But Howard was great. So anyway, thank you. And it is great to see all of you here, and especially, I did not expect this many people, and such a beautiful new office, and I'm thrilled to be here, and it does remind me of being an entrepreneur. When you get to government, of course, it gets a lot less entrepreneurial usually, but we're trying hard to sort of remake government and make sure that we're working for entrepreneurs and for all of you in the tech community, and it is thrilling to be in a place like this with all the energy. So thank you for having me. Congratulations to JJ, to Tom, to I should say to Kwesi, and especially to the entire Tastytrade team, because what you've built is spectacular. And again, it's such a pleasure to be among all of you. A special thanks and congratulations to Sydney. It makes us all proud, doesn't it, to see a Chicagoan who deserves to succeed go on and do amazing things with her life, and especially when you've got Greenwood Project behind you, but you make us all proud, so thank you. You all know what I'm about to say, but I want to make sure that the folks who may be watching on camera and not in the room know that Tastytrade was founded and built right here in Chicago with the goal of educating people from all backgrounds about financial trading, and you've done it, and you've done it with Chicago style, and I've watched and cheered for years as you've demonstrated for entrepreneurs everywhere that hard work and creativity and persistence, and that's really the most important part of that, but all of it, hard work, creativity, persistence, are the hallmarks of success, and entrepreneurs who come after you and people who work for entrepreneurial organizations that come after you will be able to see what you've done and measure themselves by it and ultimately know how that kind of perseverance allows people to get where you've gotten. So thank you, and thank you for bringing the spirit and the heart of the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois and to the endeavor of building something great. The space that we're standing in represents a milestone in your remarkable growth, and for someone like me who's watched it along the way, to see the brand new broadcast space. You can fit a lot more than 40 in there now, I guess, if you wanted to. And of course, the 35,000 square feet of new office space that you're in, and a renewed commitment by all of you to build this business up, and you've just never looked better than you do now. This expansion speaks volumes, in my opinion, about the confidence that Tastytrade has in Chicago as a hub for financial services, for media, for technology, and it's yet another commitment that you've made to building this entrepreneurial ecosystem for everyone, for our state, for all of you, of course, first and foremost. Over the last 10 years, Illinois' tech scene has exploded. I say 10 years, honestly, I've been around doing this now for, well, gosh, about 30 years minus the last 5.5 as governor, I guess you'd say. But I have watched the economy of Illinois grow because of the entrepreneurial environment, in part the entrepreneurial environment in the tech scene of Chicago. And we've grown in Illinois past $1 trillion economy. That's a pretty amazing thing, $1 trillion economy. It makes us the 5th largest economy among the states. It also, if we were an independent nation, we'd be the 19th largest nation in the world. Like, we'd be a member of the G20 in Illinois, and that's pretty exciting. So a lot of the work that I get to do now as governor is trying to attract private capital for startups and for later stage businesses, to attract federal government, bringing their dollars in to help us create cutting edge technology development here. I say it a lot these days, but you guys have heard that we're building a quantum ecosystem as part of this technology ecosystem of Chicago, and it is working, and the federal government is recognizing it, and forget the federal government, the world is recognizing Chicago as a hub for its development, and it helps not just our economy as a nation and our economy as a state, but our national security, and Chicago is at the hub of all of that. Tastytrade exemplifies the growth of this economy in a different way. Our growth, our economic success, you guys are an emblem of it. This new office and production space, of course, will create thousands of hours of content under Tasty Live, and you'll be pushing out more education as you have and information to people, not just across Illinois, but across the U.S. and, of course, across the world. But perhaps most importantly, Tastytrade is committing to Chicago not just in real estate and staff, but through engagement with vibrant communities across our city. This generous donation that you've made to the Greenwood Project will uplift and continue to empower Black and brown students to pursue careers in finance, people who might not have ever gotten this opportunity. And it'll give people an opportunity to get a great education and open a door that's been closed to many people for far too long. I don't know if all of you know, and if I get the story wrong, you'll correct me, Kwesi. But the Greenwood Project takes its name from the booming district of Tulsa, Oklahoma, known as the Black Wall Street, before it was destroyed by racist violence many years ago. Tastytrade's support for young people of color in Chicago and across the country is another demonstration of your values and the ambition of the people of Chicago and all of you, and belief in the ability of people to overcome any challenge and to build a world that our children can be worthy of. And that, I think, is all of our mission in the world, but especially in Chicago and Illinois. I think we carry those values with us, and Tastytrade, as I say, is emblematic of that. So again, I want to express my gratitude and congratulations to all of you and to Tastytrade for setting your roots even deeper in Chicago. And I wish you all continued growth and success. Thanks very much.
I won't run with them, Laura.
Hey.
I believe we have some members of the press here, so I think the governor, you're going to take some questions now, correct?
Sure, unless they want to ask you questions. I'd be happy to hand them over.
It'll be a lot less interesting, I can guarantee you that.
But hopefully we'll make this somewhat quick, but I understand we have a couple of members of the press. Yeah, hi.
Yeah, so for your governor. I am just, this is off topic. I was wondering with the PRB, if there's anyone in particular that you're considering for those vacancies. And I know you've been asked a version of this question before, but if there's any more specific reforms that you would want to see as far as operations or training on domestic violence on board.
Yeah. We're talking about the Prisoner Review Board, for all of you who don't know the PRB. I've taken and asked for nominations of people, suggestions of people to serve on the Prisoner Review Board. So we want to make sure we're filling the vacancies that are there with people who are qualified. There are always good ideas, I think, to consider about improvements that we can make at the Prisoner Review Board. One of them that I've already suggested is I think everybody on the board should get regular training and intensive training about domestic violence, the impact of domestic violence on families, and particularly how it relates to prisoners who are being released who may have had a history of domestic violence. So I think that'll be an important change in the way the Prisoner Review Board operates. Again, always looking for good suggestions, but there are a lot of things that have been suggested by people in the opposite party that we already have in place. And so we'll continue to operate properly, and having people on that board who bring different perspectives to the question of whether someone should be released at the time when they're eligible to be is something that I think requires, again, a lot of vectors to consider. You want to see whether somebody has experienced real rehabilitation, right? Whether somebody is going to recidivate when they leave. And that takes judgment of all sorts. It's not just law enforcement. It's all kinds of judgment that it takes to evaluate somebody and make a decision. But again, I think the domestic violence training will help to have those PRB members make a proper decision. Great. Any other questions from members of the media? Okay, thanks, everybody.